All right, boom. What's going on with y'all today? I have my system navigation. I am core directive and I found a two-way theory through my experience of working full time, doing 60, sometimes 70 hours a week, and also being a student. I was like, you know what? The difficulties that I faced trying to get my certifications, as you can see in the back, we have the Security Plus, we have the CCNA, the Security X, SSCP, the Certified Cybersecurity, and we have the Network Plus. I realized that there's plenty of people who have ADHD or some other kind of problems in terms of all the information, and there's plenty of resources that are available. What I'm going to show you guys is I created a template to be your HQ for all your information instead of that album that you don't look at, but it has 500 to 1,000 screenshots of information that's labeled "Read Me Later." I got y'all. So we deep dive into Cyber-Squire Network Plus. Now this template is completely free. Why, you may ask? Cause when I started, I did the CCNA. That was my first certification. I was very passionate about it, and it really set up my foundations for the other certifications. And I want to tell you that the way my notes are even structured are biased because of my networking foundations, right? And of course, if you guys have experience in other positions like system administrator, we know you're good. Now, we move on. We have a zero study waste philosophy, right? Visibility, proof of work, systemization, jump right into it. We have a new user, track progress, and we have study methods and exam tactics, right? Now, this template is for the Network Plus 009. What makes this so different? I'm going to deep dive right into it. So we have our exam readiness tracker, right? So we have objectives for all needed for the exam, right? All the objectives needed for the exam. We follow into the confidence level, right? We have a base or middle of a 3, of course, and then we have a domain which tells us which of those standards go. Now, obviously, you can clearly see there's one and it matches right there, but for some people, they like the clarification. Now, give me 1 second and we will look at this. Cool. We move into the labs. Scroll over. We have labs that we noted for that particular objective. And of course, we have the notes that we label. Now, the weight tells us where our focus should be and how we can tailor it to us, right? And that tailoring can be very specific. So if you got through all of domain 1 and 2 perfectly, right? But we also know that maybe we shouldn't spend too much time in domain number 4. Yes, it's important, but in terms of the weight of the exam, not as much, right? So we move into the action level. This is our DOK level that I am going to show you right here, right? So we have level 1, and we tailor to each objective the approach shown by, okay, level 1 is direct recognition, right? We have port numbers, acronyms, definitions, and we have command syntax. This is your, I need to remember immediately. You're not thinking too deep into it, but you should know what it is, especially when it's presented in a problem. So, next thing, we move into the concept. Why, right? Why is this important? How does this kind of interact in the real world, right? What is the deeper explanation? Can I explain this to somebody else, like the OSI model, subnetting concepts, routing protocols, VLANs, and network topologies, right? Now, this will take a little bit longer, but you should be able to rephrase this into your own words. We have level 3, analysis. We have compare, decide. We should be able to get the concepts from level 2, and we should be able to apply these in the scenario-based questions. For example, What scenario are we using TCP, right? Are we trying to be on the phone? Are we using live streaming? Are we trying to safely deliver data? Are we just trying to do a fast file transfer? All these things are important. And of course, we have single mode and multi-mode fiber. Now, this takes a bit more critical thinking because it's not just asking you about said concept, but we're asking about the application is what we will get into in level 4. So we have build and execute, and we have PBQs through Cybercraft. All the resources I have either linked or I have clearly mentioned, and I'm not going to give you too many options because people like to be pick this one, not finished, pick that one, not finished. Very straight cut, Professor Messer, Cybercraft, Chasing Dion for your quizzes. Get through it. Now, we go back to exam readiness, now that you know, and we can easily label this based on the action level. So let's say, for example, we have explained concepts related to OSI and the reference model, right? We look back at this, right? We scroll over, we see, boom, level 2 concept. So now I know when I'm going to go over this information, I'm not trying to learn to the level application, only to understand what the OSI model and whatever other networking concepts there are. Now, we do have lab counts, right? This is not required for every single category, but some of these are going to require you have looked at least at a video. Now, sometimes you can have your own Linux and you can build through that and run your labs through that platform, or you can run it for free. Some people use, well, I've seen people use Shadow PC, but you know how it be. Now, we're trying to keep this as low cost as possible. We move into your mistake count. In all your exam questions, like for example, if you take it on Jason Dion or LinkedIn, there is a mistake count. It tells you how many mistakes are you doing, and you can log that. And of course, we have our effective time, and these are automatically calculated, as you can see right here. Boom. And of course, this is all relations. Cool. Then we have our priority score. You know, what are we trying to get in that category? And it is easily explained. See? Weight, the confidence, and the way the formula goes is based on the weight of that portion, 100 minus the number of mistakes, and is multiplied per percentage, and then, you know, of course, you get something from there. Now, we have study hours. This is the way to psychologically remember and look at that you've been putting in the time, the effort, the work to log this in, so you can look back and say, hey, in total, I spent about 60 hours. And you can update this as you continue studying. Now, of course, we have studying progress. This is based on your other categories, and this is a lot of the tables are automated. Study intensity, and then we have related concepts, right? So we can tag this, and we can be like, don't worry, I'm going to show you it's on the other page. Now, we move back into knowledge-based concepts. Cool. You don't need to put related sort. This is the topics that you're going to get from your Professor Messer, right? When you're on the first or second video and you're like, okay, he mentioned something about the CIA triad or even subnetting, right? We would put subnetting, the category of whatever you're trying to learn. Then we have key concept, of course, right there. And then we would have, did we do a lab for it? That will be put there. What port is this related to? The subnetting, you can leave it blank, or you can leave it to a specific port number if that helps you remember where it is. And then we move into strategy override. How do we go about this? Did we just study? Did we do flashcards? This is a logic gap. We're not trying to remember every single fucking thing that you're feeding information. This is how people spend 2 fucking hours taking notes for a 10-minute video, for a couple 10-minute videos. And then you're looking and you're like, man, I got 100 videos left. I'm like, because you're taking too many notes. The reason you're taking so many notes is because you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're truly understanding. Because by the time you come to the point of comprehension, I guarantee you're not reading all those 100 pages. All those pages, you're probably going to glance at it. And so I took that into consideration when I built this. And of course, we have our related objective. Now, here too, in the key concept, we can put our picture. Now, you can have Visual Hub, and then you can add your pictures in there. And when I talk about the gallery, this is how I'd like to keep the pictures. You have the concept, you have the information, and if you click Visual Intelligence Hub, boom, information right there. It don't get better than that. It really don't. Now, next, I'm not going completely thorough because I do want to show you, for example. Now, we have our practice exams. Now, so you can buy practice exams from Professor Messer, Jason Dion, LinkedIn Learning, our blanket practice tests. I don't have one, but resources are out there. And the point of this template, it's so you have a HQ for all your information. And so everything is structured, right? Because though you may go through Professor Messerwood, and he gives a fantastic layout. Fantastic. That's why I'm recommending it to you. But for the sake of right before the exam, you want to relook at your notes real quick. Instead of having to look at screenshots here, look at labels, look at notes that you put here. You're trying to redesign and reinvent the wheel. We have this. So you can keep your questions. You can copy and paste the question here, for example, right? What port does HTTPS use, right? 443. Cool. And then, of course, you can log the date that you did this on. And, yeah, you can easily click through the calendar. You can put a note. Why did you get it wrong? Because we're only keeping track of what the logic gap. What are we getting wrong? What are we missing? What are we lacking? Move into, you can put your objective. You know instantly what you're trying to study. And the topic. So if it's related to any of the topics that you took notes from, you can log it right here. And it's all relations and automated. Yes, sir. We have, did you review this? Cool. What was my answer? What was the reasoning that you got it wrong? You know, I was confused with BGP, blah, 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 OSP. Some confusion here or there. Cool. And then, of course, the logic gap was it a technical gap? Did I not really completely understand it? Was it an acronym or term? I always say if you're able to pass an exam and you didn't struggle reading acronyms, or if you read it fluently, you straight. If you passed it and you were struggling, it's a bad exam. If you think you're going to take this test and not know your acronyms by heart, you're screwed. Yes, I'll say that. 10 toes. Screwed. That's what you are. Now, we move into process and sequence. And we have, so for example, we have the problem solving steps, and it goes through 1 through 8. Maybe that the question is pertaining to the end of the problem solving process. Maybe you got to take some kind of documentation or review it, and you're answering from step 2, right? Or even when it comes to C, containment, eradication, and response. Pretty sure it's not the correct R, but I got y'all. And of course, we move from there. Cool. We're trying to keep this as simple, organized as possible. And then we go into our technical reference, right? Port numbers, protocols, boom, boom, boom. We have our port numbers in all of them. And I even like to use this way where you can do priority memorization, meaning must memorize. Then we have protocol, and we have quick note. And then, of course, we have our form of transportation with TCP. And we have all 300 of them, right? Because, yes, we do. Oh, right. These are port numbers. The flashcard is a different page. I got you. visual diagram. So if we want to use FTP, we can have it on there, and you have a diagram to instantly remember is right there. And our related concept goes back to our misunderstanding, right? We all this links back to understanding. You're not trying to memorize, you're trying to understand, and you're trying to apply your knowledge, especially when you're trying to move up, especially in your workplace. Now, we move forward. We move forward into, we have command lines. You can go through those. These are not the exact ones that are going to be on the exam, but these are just good to know. And of course, you can change them. You can use the example use case right here. And of course, we have the notes, and then we have the platform that they go on. And you have you can type your notes. I think the example use case is enough, but it's up to you how you want to do it. And of course, you can label these and resort them to your liking. Now we move back to home. New work plus acronyms. Cool. I took time to do this. Yes, I did. We have the acronyms, we have the category, we have the full name, and then we have, do you know it or not? You can mark it right there. And we have the notes, so you can, if you want to, have some explanation to it. Now, we do have the study priority, and these are based on the domains that they're logged into, and then the number is just the order that they're in. The fun thing about this is I do recommend people use Quizlet, because there is people who already have the 327 already here. I always tell you, always use LearnBase. Never use the ABCD multiple choice. You want to make your brain work. Cool. And you can also add a category where instead of putting the notes, so example, let's say I want to look at the acronyms, right? And I'm like, you know what? I don't feel like going to Quizlet. I'm going to use the template. Boom. And now, right here, let's say some of your notes are open, or you want to add another column. You can add another property, and then you can just type it in. Okay, I see ACL, access control list. I see authentication header. And then it literally goes back there. And then when you want to bring it back, Command Z, undo. Or you can just simply unhide it from it. But it goes all the way down to 300. And to simplify your view, we have groups of 10. And then we also have groups of 50 and 100. Boom. Let's keep going. I thought of mostly everything. Now, for your labs, I was like, here's where you can log your labs, lab name, deliverable. I highly recommend Cybercraft. He has thorough examples for the exam. He's well enough. And of course, you want to do some hands-on yourself. I would suggest whatever you want to do during. Of course, this is an exam. What really matters is what you do after with your skills and knowledge. Now, all this is linked so you can, at the end of the day, the goal here is the job, the career, the pay, the raise, all this. We have the company that you applied for. Then we have proof of work assets. These are your projects and labs that you did during all this process, all logged right here. Then we have date applied. Click. We have date applied, calendar. And then, of course, we have next action. Then we have the pay, meaning do I need to respond or something like that. And then we have the posting or the URL for you to keep and remember. And then we have the recruiter, and we have status. Is it going good, bad, blah, blah, blah. Cool. You see, it says applied, screening, interview, offer, rejected. Boom. I thought of everything. You are the most welcome. The most welcome. And yes, this is free. Now, it did take several days, but I hate seeing people not having their network foundations, and especially they want security roles, but you don't know what you're protecting. I know people hear it, but it's literally like you're trying to play basketball for the first time, and you don't even know how defense works. Screwed. super screwed. Now we move into progress tracking, our study analytics for the week. This will be automatically logged, of course, like was it good or bad? When did the week start? How many applications did you send? These are just numbers you can just guess, you know. It would be better if you kind of looked at it, but these are, they should be automatically, see, counts related labs from this week, boom, yeah, see, just like that. Objectives, study hours, total study hours, and of course we have objectives covered during this week. I would just put domain 1, 2, 3, and see, you can instantly click it from here because it's an easier example. Now we go to application center. We move down. Move down. What's included? What's included? We have 10 interconnected databases, smart automation, cool. Brief rundown of the template. And of course, I'm going to tell you, boom, we have Professor Messer. We all looking at it now, right? Okay, so we're not looking at Professor Messer. Cool, let me hide this right here. Boom, now we're looking at Professor Messer. All right, so we have the OSI model, right? We have interconnected reference model, and it's a guide. He has well put together PowerPoints. And I'm going to tell you again that him and the way that he's structured, it's plenty of information for you to pass. Going from the physical to the data to the network. And of course, like, let's say like you want this chart. If you want to buy it, his PowerPoint, highly recommend, go ahead. I like to do is I'll crop it, put it into the knowledge base for whatever I'm specifically trying to memorize or keep in mind, so I can look back at it later and I'm like, oh, okay, that's the layer, or oh, okay, that's the mnemonic for you to remember. And if you go about it that way, it's more positive, and you can be successful in you trying to get this network plus, and then you trying to get the security. I do have the security template in the bio. If you're interested, I am having a new year. It's Core Directive 20. Nothing crazy. I appreciate y'all. And I think I will get to the CCNA later in time. I do see plenty of people interested in that. And we see, kind of go through it. Take pictures, cert attempts. Some kind of some types of considerations to your learning process. And that is it, y'all. I think we ran through all of it. If you do have questions, please let me know. And I appreciate y'all's support, and I hope this is the key that you were looking for. Thank y'all so much.